Hello, brothers and sisters. So great to be with you here at the Path of Awareness. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to read on with Joel S. Goldsmith's Spiritual Interpretation of Scripture. And this is the chapter Basis of Understanding. We will, in meditation, realize that this is not about words. It's about letting the Spirit fill us. To be us. That it is the only I or us. That is true beauty, completeness, wholeness. From within our own being. Basis of understanding. My kingdom is not of this world. Cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils. God is no respecter of persons. Here we leave behind old landmarks, but whether we will be glad to see them disappear depends on how firmly we grasp the new idea. We start out from a well-known city, a familiar state of consciousness. We know where we are. We know well the routine of affirmations, denials, formulas, set prayers given us by others to memorize and repeat. In our present state of unfolding consciousness, we have lots of props upon which to lean. We can always fall back upon statements uttered by wise men of old and newer ones by men and women of our own time. We can even call upon that ancient cliche in times of trouble: leave it to God. There are well-worn prayers and statements in the Bible. There are well-known prayers and formulas in modern metaphysical writings. Yes, our present state of consciousness gives us much on which to lean. When, however, as now, we agree to leave old landmarks, we enter a state of consciousness with but few guideposts and even fewer aids. In this new land, you will find yourself much alone with God. It will become necessary to make your direct contact with infinite being, with the infinity of your own being. It will no longer help you to talk about God, pray up to God, lean on God, think about God. Now you must become one with God. You must consciously feel your oneness and receive direct illumination, guidance. Receive direct illumination, guidance. At first, when you close your eyes in silence, there may be a sinking feeling in the pit of the stomach as you realize that here you are, at last, alone with God, and God nowhere yet in sight or hearing. It may be like swimming in an ocean and all of a sudden realizing that you have gone out of sight of land with no guidepost to tell you which direction to head for. The first experience, when you turn into the silence without words, thoughts or statements can be very confusing and doubt-engendering. It will require patience and perseverance, just as it did in those pioneers who broke through the material wilderness to make first a path from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific, and then fill in that path with towns and cities, and finally unfold a great America, a completely new and different country from any before known. The early pioneers in mental healing found that they could convey the idea of health from practitioner to patient with words silently spoken and with no physical contact between patient and practitioner. The method then was to orally or silently address the patient by name, and then orally or silently declare the truth of being through affirmation and denial. And the patient, if at all receptive, was healed or helped. With the passing of time and much experience, progress in this healing method continued until it arrived at a point where it was no longer necessary to address the patient at all. The practitioner could know the truth within himself, and the one who had asked for help would receive it. This was called impersonal treatment. At first, it was used only to help those who had not specifically asked for help. But later it was found to be a more efficacious method than directly addressing the mentality of the patient. While all metaphysical practitioners have not advanced to the place where they can heal without directly addressing the patient, the best and busiest practitioners have learned this secret. By the time they reach the place in consciousness where they merely know the truth within themselves, or clear their own thought, as it is sometimes called, they have also arrived at a place where most of their healing work is no longer mental healing, but spiritual healing. The continuous living in the mental realm leads us to the higher atmosphere of spirit or soul. Having arrived at the state of consciousness where the patient is not recognized, is not taken into the treatment, the practitioner has become aware of a divine presence. Aware of a divine presence, power or influence within his own being. Instead of his giving mental treatments, he finds this sweet presence within himself as the divine agent in the healing work. More and more he becomes aware of God as a very present reality. He feels this gentle presence within. He learns to be consciously aware of it more and more. He, the practitioner, becomes less and less, and God, the divine within, becomes more and more. There is less faith in statements, thoughts, affirmations, and more understanding of God as the life and substance of the real universe. Understanding of God as the life and substance of the real universe. The errors of the senses are more easily seen as illusion. Less and less effort is given to overcoming sin, healing disease, removing error, or battling mortal mind, or protecting ourselves from imaginary powers and evil people. The spiritual consciousness reveals the physical world as a mirage, an illusion without substance, law, reality, cause, or effect. And this spiritual sense dissolves the illusions without mental effort, without prayer or treatment, just as the enlightened mathematical sense sees 12 times 12 as 144, without taking thought, without mental strain, effort, or process. It just knows 144, complete and perfect. As this spiritual awareness becomes more and more, the mental work, the mental treatment, becomes less and less. What need is there to strive, struggle, contend, and do mental battle with what is now so clearly seen and understood as mirage, nothingness? My kingdom is not of this world. Cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils. God is no respecter of persons. My kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom means the realm of spirit, soul, or I am. This world means the universe of concepts, the illusion or mirage. It naturally follows that this means there is nothing of my kingdom, of the Christ in this world. The universe we see, hear, taste, touch, or smell. To you and to me, this is the most tremendous revelation in the Bible. It shows us why there are wars with all their horrors of disaster, wreck, ruin, wounds, insanity, death, and destruction, and God does nothing about it. The World War II ended in Germany only when the Germans were completely and utterly defeated, out of food, clothing, and ammunition. Did God stop it then? No. It stopped only because there was nothing with which the Germans could carry on. Did the war in the East stop then? Did God decide to stop the whole war? No. The Asiatic War went on until 2 atomic bombs, not God, showed the Japanese the hopelessness of their situation. Please remember, shocking as this may seem to you, there was no God on the battlefields. There was no God in the war. Were only bad men, evil characters, and sinful people hurt and destroyed in the war? You know better. Most of the people, even most Germans and Japanese, were good humans, innocent of any desire to hurt anyone. Was God with them? Think of the tornadoes, train wrecks, air casualties. Where is God? And the answer shouts back at you, God is no respecter of persons. No, He is no respecter of any persons, good or bad. And again God tells you, cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. For wherein is he to be accounted of? If then God does not enter the human scene, what is your function and what is your hope? Ye must be born again of the Spirit. You must cease from being mortal man. You must rise in consciousness to the awareness of yourself as pure spirit, life, and soul. You must see and understand this world as a mirage, an illusion, a mesmeric suggestion, and not attempt to heal it, pray for it, save it, or redeem it, but see it for what it is, a false concept of reality, a dream picture. Awake, thou that sleepest, and Christ shall give thee light. When we awaken from this dream world, we will see him as he is, and we will then be satisfied that all is well, and will be like him, spiritual and perfect. Must we die to awaken to this truth? No. We must know, understand, and acknowledge that what we behold is not the world of reality, and God is not in it. But seeing through it, we behold the temple not made with hands, the spiritual universe here and now. What is your hope? That you may live always in the consciousness of my kingdom, in which is no mortal sense to be overcome, no erring condition to be corrected, no sinful or sick people to heal. Looking back, you can realize now how much of your metaphysical work has been in the realm of human betterment. At this moment, you are being led to my kingdom, to that place or point in consciousness, or that state of consciousness, where harmony is the ever-present and only state of being. Your study, your work, now is no longer for the purpose of ending a war or changing capitalism into socialism, or even trying to save capitalism from socialism. Your endeavor now is to cease from consideration of the things of this world, so as to tune in on the beam that leads to the realization of my kingdom. In my Father's house are many mansions. In God consciousness there are riches of the soul, places of spiritual substance, an existence of eternal bliss. These are not found in material sense, regardless of how great and good. Is this practical in our experience here and now? Let your own heart answer. Unless you perceive this with your own inner conviction, my statements or assurances will be meaningless. If my words find a response within you, then you need no further assurance. Trust your instinct, your intuition, not as to whether my message is true, I know it is, but as to your readiness for it. Is there something of this world very important to you? whatever of good there is, and this is infinite, will unfold to you, and for you without your taking thought. And it will appear as person, place, and thing. But it really will be God appearing, good unfolding, life expressing, love revealing. Do not fear to let go the things and events of this world. More and better harmonious, more and better harmonies will appear than ever you dreamed of, and without planning or effort or struggle. And these will still appear in tangible and substantial form, as person, place, and thing. But you will smile and know better. You will recognize them as gifts of God, as divine grace, as your heritage as the child of God. That chapter, I'll go into the next chapter is treatment. Treatment. No one has a personal message. There is no such thing as a messenger of God. God is his own messenger, and he appears to human consciousness at that moment's demonstration. He has appeared as many great thinkers, and always in the way that you as a human person can comprehend. Every one of us, whether in the business or professional world, or any of the arts, is trusted with a doctrine not our own. Originality of ideas is not ours. It is God, individual mind. There is a fullness and completeness awaiting each person. We are here as the presence of God, fulfilling God's destiny. Every one is an individualization of the infinity of God. No one can be without opportunity. One of the greatest lessons in this connection is found in the Bible, 1 Kings 19. Elijah, the only prophet not slain, has fled for his life and is hiding in a cave. The hopelessness of the situation seems to overwhelm Elijah. Here he is the only prophet of God left. His people have forsaken the covenant and have thrown down the altars. To Elijah, there certainly seemed to be no opportunity left for him but to die. But in turning to God, what were his instructions? Go, return on thy way. I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which hath not kissed him. So it is with each one of us. There is never a lack of opportunity when it is seen as God's opportunity of presenting himself to the 7,000 that he has saved out for himself. Then there is no need for envy, jealousy, rivalry, or competition, because there is an infinity of good which God has saved out for himself The moment you present God, the audience is universal. The moment you present God, the audience is universal. We learn to let good, let mind assume its responsibilities. As we learn to listen for that still, small voice, we too will be led to where our work, recognition, and compensation are to be found. Cultivate the consciousness of the presence of God every moment. Cultivate the consciousness of the presence of God every moment. Until you begin to see God in every form, everywhere, you are seeing something apart from God. The man that I see is the man that I be. The universe returns to us our concepts as we express them. As long as we see error as externalized condition, we fight it. But when we see it as illusion, we get rid of it. It disappears. Regardless of who asks for help or what the nature of the claim, the first thing to remember is that your realization has nothing to do with a person, place, or thing out there. But you are being tempted to accept a person or condition apart from God's own being. When the call comes for help, immediately recognize that you are being tempted to accept a selfhood apart from God, or a condition unlike good. Therefore, you must now work with yourself. Being tempted to accept a selfhood apart from God. You must accept yourself as the patient, and you must heal yourself of the belief of a selfhood or condition apart from God. You must realize that the entire human scene, good or evil, is the finite sense of reality. You are not being called upon to separate tracks, even though they appear to come together. You are not being called upon to lift the sky off the mountain, even though the sky appears to be sitting there. You are to realize that sin, disease, lack, even death is a mirage. And no mirage ever wet the dry sands of the desert. Do not ask your patient to do anything for the purpose of helping to heal him. Patient is the very presence of God all the time. And when we recognize that we are being presented with the illusion of sickness or sin, that we are not trying to heal someone or save someone, then right from the first moment, we are recognizing that there is only the presence of God, and that what is coming to us as suggestion is only illusion. You defeat your own realization if you go outside your own consciousness for help. You may recommend any book, pamphlet, lecture, or other reading for the inspiration it gives, or for the knowledge of truth it imparts. but never claim that any of these will help in healing. Never discourage or urge church attendance or membership. Each one must work out his own salvation at the point of consciousness, where he finds himself. Where he finds himself. Your healing work is done within your own being and is not dependent on what the so-called patient does or thinks. Be free in imparting truth to those eager for it and who are capable of listening. Never permit discussion or argument. Never try to convince. If the friend, seeker, or patient cannot quickly listen and accept, stop at once. This does not mean that we cannot answer questions. We are eager to do that. One will not argue, discuss, or try to convince. Just as receptivity in your greatest spiritual quality, just as receptivity is your greatest spiritual quality, so must it be in those who come to you. How much treating should you do in any case? When you feel within you that the work is done, you will not be able to do more, and you will stand in your treatment. Be guided by your inner feelings. If you are keeping your consciousness clear, you will often give no further treatment beyond assuring the patient that you will help immediately. You will intuitively know whether anything further is necessary. Never promise to help later or at any specific time, but always immediately. The I of you is a present help in any situation. Even if you cannot stop to do anything further, you can instantly know that no healing is to be done. All is I am. Nothing in the future can be accomplished. Healing is not something you are going to do. Healing is the realization of perfection now. Healing is the realization of perfection now. The feel of the Christ within you. The demand for help is never on the personal you, but on the I that I am, which is likewise the I of the so-called patient. The I is ever with him, even as it is with you. And you can trust him to the I of his own being, the one universal I that I am. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Luke 4:18-19. The Spirit of the Lord, The consciousness of the presence of the law of God is within my awareness, within my consciousness, a part of my conscious being. He hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. Its mission or function is to enlighten or spiritually enrich me. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted. Its mission likewise is to replace erroneous beliefs with perfect ideas of truth and life, to provide the awareness of love where a sense of its absence seems to be, to establish in me the conscious awareness of love's presence, to preach deliverance to the captives of sense, to free me from the bondage of sense testimony, to deliver me from the belief that tracks come together, or skies sit on mountains, or that the desert mirage has substance or reality, to bring spiritual freedom where material bondage of any nature touches individual being, recovering of sight to the blind, giving spiritual vision, spiritual discernment, in place of a limited sense or material concept, to set at liberty them that are bruised, where finite sense has produced impairment. This Christ consciousness of me is to be the presence and power of healing, regeneration, and resurrection, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord, to teach me the God consciousness, or to be to me the Comforter. Prayer is not what goes from the individual to God, but that which comes from God, the universal, to the individual consciousness. Prayer is the Word of God, which comes to you in silence. All the human thinking you can do will not help anyone in this world, nor will it harm anyone. What is the relationship between practitioner, patient, and God? Unless we have a clear understanding of this, we will have difficulty with healings and with our work for other people. Nothing goes from the practitioner to God, or from the practitioner to the patient. God, practitioner, and patient are all one. If they were not, there would be mediation, intercession, a finite, and the infinite. There is only one God. Whenever we are tempted to think that we are something less than God, we are insulting God or throwing dust in the face of infinity. The only thing that is taking place in a treatment is the practitioner's realization that all there is present is God. All there is that is power is God. God is appearing as a practitioner, as a patient, but always only one, and that one is God. Until the three become one, the treatment is not complete. As long as there is a sense of duality, the treatment is not complete. Treatment is a realization of God's allness. There cannot be many, but only one. one appearing as many. We will have the belief in God and you as long as we misunderstand this principle. I am life, soul. I am life, soul. My body is its manifestation or expression, but still always one. One as wood and table, inseparable, indivisible. Without wood, there would be no table. The only reason for any treatment is a belief in duality. We turn within to reestablish our sense of oneness. We have come into the belief that I and the Father are two. We must get back to the realization of oneness. If for any reason I seem to be separated from my good, health, harmony, wealth, the cure is to get back to the principle of oneness. The reason we lose our sense of oneness is because of a universal sense of mesmerism. All forms of daily life are presenting pictures of good and evil. Newspapers, pictures, novels, etc. All of this suggestion seems to set up in us a sense of separation, discord, lack. Re-establish the sense of oneness. This is all there is to meditation or treatment. You will not be successful as long as you are living a dual existence. You must not look for a power outside of yourself. You must not accept the belief that there is an evil power, or look for a good power to act upon you or upon your affairs. You are the law, the principle of your being and body. The moment you realize that oneness, you have infinity flowing through you. No power outside of you is going to act upon your business, work, or demonstration. There is no power sitting around waiting to find you a house to live in or a job to fill. If there were, it would be a sad world indeed. You yourself are the law. But that law is only law as you realize it within your being. That is, as you get the feel of your oneness with God. As a human being, you are not the law, because if you were, every other human in the world would be too, and then there would be no discord. If, as humans, we were one with the law, there would be no wars on the earth. But to the contrary, having set up this belief of humanhood, we have set up errors with it. Treatment is realization, prayer, communion. When realization happens within, the whole outer picture changes. All affirmations are waste motion unless accompanied with realization. You do not have to name the disease or person. You do not have to tell God whether the demonstration is physical, moral, or financial. You do not have to voice anything. All you have to do is be still. Be still. Go into the secret place of the Most High, your own consciousness, and realize again your oneness with God until a responsive feeling comes to you, a sense of awareness. In meditation, everyone's experience is different. That is why we need meditation. Do not, though, tell even your best friend about your joys in meditation. It is your secret, your relationship with God, the most sacred relationship in the world, and it should not be shared with anyone. It is yours alone. No one else can really respond to it. True, what blesses one blesses all. But this is a state of consciousness, and no two are on just the same level of demonstration. Let fruitage be seen, not talked about. No one has to go around saying he is a millionaire, or that he is joyous and happy. It can be seen in his walk, his attitude, his clothes. So, to refrain from voicing your experiences is wisdom. Oneness appears to us as harmony. It is universal life, one mind, and this life is individualized as you. In duality, we have health and sickness, abundance and lack, life and death. As long as there is duality, you cannot avoid these opposites. Only in realization of oneness of the divine life expressing itself as you can you look forward to eternal life. Only in the realization that you are joint heir with Christ in God to all the heavenly riches can you know abundance. All of the infinity of God appears as you. If it were in me, it could possibly find an outlet and get out of me. Therefore, truth appears as me, as you. Then, when we say, the kingdom of God is within you, we understand it to mean that the kingdom is appearing as you. Otherwise, the infinity of God, good, would be finite. The Christ is appearing as Jesus. This is unfoldment and is universal. It would be selfish if we merely took this home for our own purposes only, or did not use it at all. None of this is intended to increase the amount of truth you know, but all of it is intended as truth revealing more of God to the world. There is no limit to what we can do in the realization of our oneness with God. I, of myself, can do nothing. But the moment the demand is made on me, and I realize that I am joint heir with Christ in God, in that proportion can I do just the same as Jesus did. With all the human good we can express, we can still be slaves. Regardless of how much physical health or wealth we might have, we are still slaves to physical and economic laws, until such time as we make the transition from physical sense to spiritual consciousness. In the economic and physical world, we are up against the belief that we are getting old, and so we find age a great problem. Do not overcome this until we have advanced beyond just increasing human good and come to a point of realizing our spiritual identity. There must be a transition from the material sense of existence to spiritual existence. That is the aim and object of all spiritual study. The reason many spiritual seers and holy men have ended up in poverty or disease is that they always considered there was a God and themselves. They were looking to God for something, instead of realizing, I am. If life is self-sustained, then why go around worrying, doubting, or fearing it? I am life eternal. A God in heaven does us no good. We must feel it inside. Must feel it inside. There is no error except the belief in separation from God. Duality is the only devil. It is mental quackery to make disease a reality, to hold it as something seen and felt, and then to attempt its cure through mind. From Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy's place in history will be based on her revelation of the nature and character of error. That it is illusion, hypnotism, mesmerism. Then we do not have to fight it. Just know that it is a mirage. Then forget it. Treat a belief in sickness as you would sin, with sudden dismissal. IBID. Mirage is your belief that what is appearing is other than God appearing. Whatever is appearing can only be God reality itself appearing. The illusion is in the misinterpretation of what is out there. Illusion is your concept of the manifestation of God. Illusion is the belief that it has power to harm. It can't, because it is God appearing. In any sense that it is not, is the illusion. We must remember that the illusion is not out there, but only in the misinterpretation of reality itself. Only as we see this can we begin to see that there is nothing and no one to be healed, saved, or changed. I exist as consciousness. Therefore, nothing comes to me except as consciousness. And whatever is in or of my consciousness is good. And I will not be convinced that it is evil. There is no such thing as personal error. I have no right to condemn or be condemned. Any sense of error is always a universal belief to which I am being subjected. Anything that is universal belief can be overcome or thrown off. Know that you cannot be used as an avenue or channel of expression for those universal beliefs. You cannot be used as an avenue or channel of expression for these universal beliefs, because only God, good, appears as you. This is true of any temptation or form which is a universal claim. We are merely being used as targets or victims. We want to overcome the belief or illusion that there is something there of a nature opposed to God. Want to overcome the belief or illusion that there is something there of a nature opposed to God. We then translate the thing into its rightful use. We must realize our oneness with God from the moment we awaken in the morning. Anything in the world can become a poison or injury. That is the way of human belief. Dualism is a very wonderful thing to the human sense. We are breaking down duality. Either there is good and evil, or there is not. But we know that God is the only power. There are no lesser powers. There is no substance apart from God. There is no being apart from God. There is only one. And all being is included in the infinite Godhead. All being is included in the infinite Godhead. Duality is the only devil we have. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. Isaiah 45:5. The Hindu and the biblical Amen originally meant I am. The very pronouncing was supposed to have healing power. I already am. Whither shall I flee from thy presence? When the I am voices itself to us, then the human selfhood disappears. When the I am voices itself to us, then the human selfhood disappears. Our humanhood must not be exalted into thinking it is God. The future is duality, and therefore is the devil. Any affirmation or denial, written or spoken, that has for its object correcting, improving, healing, or getting something is just a waste of time. All any argument is a reminder of that eternal truth, which is now. Right where desire is, manifestation must be. Now, let us realize the idea of spiritual health, of spiritual joy, of spiritual peace. Let us be done with help in the physical realm, or supply of a physical nature, or the material sense of good. Let us stop resting in the human sense of good, in the human modes of good. If we do not now make the transition into the richer sense of life and health, the healing work cannot take on its highest sense. The healing of physical conditions is no different when done metaphysically than physically, unless it is accomplished through the realization of the spiritual nature of life, mind, body, harmony, health, and dominion. The mental or physical sense of dominion is not our aim. Our purpose is the realization of a spiritual sense of existence, and we cannot be satisfied with anything less. The time has come to make the transition from healing matter, from healing physical discords, to realization of the spiritual harmony of being, to the spiritual sense of supply, to the spiritual sense of joy and peace and dominion. Joy in the spirit is entirely different than joy in the human sense of the word. Success, spiritually understood, is an entirely different thing from acquisition of money or fame. The spiritual sense of health is something far beyond a heart beating, a normal rate of speed. Eternal life is not found in the physical realm. Neither is infinite supply found in the physical realm, nor the continuous sense of joy or peace or dominion. Therefore, until we rise above this physical sense of existence, we cannot find the eternal or immortal good we are seeking. In the world, where human betterment is the rule and the goal, there is also the sense of health and sickness, wealth and poverty, the opposites, in other words, and one may have one today and the other tomorrow. While in the spiritual consciousness of existence, there is only the continuity of good. Healings now should no longer be a matter of mental power, of mental struggle, of mental striving or mental effort. Healing should be a matter of grace with you. Healing should be a matter of grace with you. The time is long past for you to be struggling for a healing. You must have arrived at that state of consciousness in which healings are accomplished through grace, through love, with just a smile. When you understand that only the mind of you governs and controls your affairs, when you understand that nothing outside of you acts upon you or upon your supply, your health, or your body, that everything that is occurring to you is occurring as a direct result of your own state of consciousness, then you can begin to correct whatever is wrong in your affairs. And in the same way, you can become a law unto your affairs and unto all who turn to you for help. You do not have to go through mental argument. You do not have to go through affirmations and denials. You have to cultivate spiritual discernment. And then this spiritual discernment results or acts upon your affairs to bring out harmony and peace and prosperity. In the same way, in proportion as you have a material state of consciousness, in proportion as you believe in matter as real, in that proportion will that material state of consciousness of yours act erroneously and injuriously upon your affairs. To bring out harmony means to spiritualize your thought. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. There is that which is invisible to material sense, even invisible to the intellect, but tangible and real to those inner vision, to those of inner vision, of spiritual consciousness. It is called the Christ, the presence, the Spirit within, and by many other terms. Actually, it is the reality of your being, or inner self, with a capital S. Its function is to go before you to make the crooked places straight, to be the green pastures and the still waters of your existence, to be the everlasting arms, the shadow of the Almighty. It is that which provides manna in the desert. It brings forth water out of the rocks. It closes the mouths of the lions. It makes the burning flames of no power. It is the intelligence of your being. It provides for you, and in you, the answer to every problem. Having recourse to this inner presence, you are eternally and intelligently governed and sustained, regardless of human conditions. Without it, you are as a cork on the ocean, buffeted by every breeze and every wavelet. With it, you are the wave upheld by the ocean itself, empowered by all the energy of the sea of life. Without it, you are the victim of circumstance and person. With it, you are the captain of your own soul, master of your destiny. Material sense will never reveal the permanent harmony of being. Intuition is the spiritual faculty, is the spiritual quality. We develop this spiritual sense as we learn to put off the old man who judges by appearance, and gain the new man who intuitively perceives the reality behind the mask of personality. Those who do not know the inner self wear the mask of self-protection, self-importance, self-defense, only until they learn that God is their real being and needs no artificial aid. Men steal because they do not know that they embody their good. They carry Bibles with steel linings because they do not know that the Word is their sufficient protection. They project the Word itself with steel plates. They protect the Word itself with steel plates. This is tragic. And sometimes we too try to protect ourselves with words and statements. instead of knowing that the Word itself in silence is our very life. That's the end of that chapter. So inspiring and refreshing to feel that spirit within as you, as me. We're not battling the good and the evil. We're knowing that right where we stand is holy ground. Now, no process necessary. Just realization, awareness, recognition, consciousness. So great to be with you all. See you on the next one. Many blessings.